Position is on the list because that's one of the terms that the iLearn folks put on their vocabulary list. Basically, in our context, they're using it as a synonym for the word location. Where did the moving object start? Like what location or what position was it in? And what location did it end in? To be able to find the total distance traveled, you need to measure from the beginning position or location to the ending position or location. Speed is something that we're spending our week dealing with. If something is in motion, we want to know how fast it's going. To do that, you need to measure a couple different things about the moving object. You need to know the distance, which is usually represented by a d in the formula, divided by, which is what this slash means here in the formula, or this bar here that makes it look like a fraction. So distance divided by a time of some kind. It could be seconds, minutes, hours, depends on what you're measuring. You'll see that they're abbreviating the word speed with the letter V. S is already used for seconds, and it can get kind of confusing if you have a bunch of abbreviations that use the same letter. So since calculating velocity is similar to speed, the calculation involves distance divided by time, they just went ahead and used the V in place of the S. I have an example of how you would do the calculation. You take the distance divided by the time. In this case, we have 150 miles, and then this bar means divided by 3 hours, and you get 50. The M is for miles, the slash is per, and then HR. On our signs, we see MPH, miles per hour. There's a couple different ways that you can label it. The main thing is you can't just leave the 50 by itself. We need to know what you divided. So in this case, miles per hour, you need to have that written down in some way. For your activities, it's usually meters per second because we're not going miles for our distances. Non-examples, other things you can measure. Average speed is usually what you're calculating when you're dealing with a speed calculation. It's makes more sense than instantaneous speed, which we'll talk about here in a second. Again, this is the same thing, same information as the speed slide. Meters per second is usually what we're looking for in the SI units. I use the same math problem here. You want to have an image of something that is traveling at a speed of some kind, understanding that, it is possible to take a break. Like race cars have pit stops. Runners might decide to walk part of their race if they're hurt or tired or something. The average speed is, start line to finish line, with the understanding that you might be speeding up or slowing down along the way. It's going to average all of that out to give an idea of how long it took you to do the whole trip.